make sure that this wasn't something that was overlooked. If it's not, if you guys both knew this and that's the way it is, that's fine.
Yeah, we both did, Your Honor. And typically for cases where they have their first case and pick up their second case while they're out, I don't like to consolidate them so we can score the criminal histories, of course,
Okay.
bump up the criminal history because it usually happens within, a short period of time since they were out when they picked up that second one. Because,
Okay.
generally it doesn't take super long time to go through.
Right.
But
Okay. Like I said, I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of it. And Ms. Cadell, even though that's not being offered, I assume you and your client were kind of aware of that and want to proceed today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Good deal. All right. Then let us go ahead and get started. I'm going to call two cases, those being 2020 CR204 and 2020 CR609, both captioned State of Kansas versus Vanessa Navarro. Would the parties announce their appearances, please?
may it please the court, the state appears by Assistant District Attorney Taylor Hines.
May it please the court, Christy Cadell appears for the defendant, Vanessa Navarro Valencia, who appears via Zoom hearing.
All right. We are here set down for a plea hearing today. I've received a copy of the proposed plea petition and the PSI request. Thank you for that, Ms. Cadell. Ms. Navarro, for me to take up your plea, I have to ask you a lot of questions, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
So when I ask you these questions, if I ask you something you don't understand, tell me that and we'll talk about it until we're both sure that we're on the same page, okay?
Yes.
And also, if at any time you want to talk to Ms. Cadell in private before you answer a question, I have the ability to send you guys like to a special video room that the rest of us can't hear you. You just tell me you want to do that and I'll set it up, okay?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, what's that?
I said yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, to get started today, I have to have you sworn in. So if you'd raise your right hand, my court reporter will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Navarro, how far did you go in school?
I've only made it to the 8th grade.
Okay. How are you reading and writing wise?
Actually, I read pretty good and I write really good.
Okay, good. Good. Now, as you sit here today, I know you're in custody, but I have to ask you, are you under the influence of any alcohol or drugs or prescription medicine that might cloud your mind, keep you from understanding what you're doing?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Do you know what you're charged with in these two cases?
Yes.
Okay. And you know that you don't have to change your plea from one of not guilty to guilty. If you wanted to maintain your not guilty plea, you would have a right to a jury trial in both these cases. Do you understand that?
Yes, I understand.
The state would have to prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, and you wouldn't have to prove anything yourself. Do you understand that?
Yes, I understand.
All right. At that trial, Ms. Cadell would help you throughout. She would be able to cross-examine and confront all of the state's witnesses and challenge their evidence. She could call any witnesses that you wanted to come, and if they didn't want to come to court, she could use subpoena power to make them come to court. If you wanted to testify, you would have a right to, but you'd also have a right not to testify. And if you decided not to testify, the state couldn't use that against you to argue that you must be guilty because you didn't take the stand. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, if we had that trial and at the end of that trial, you were convicted in these two cases, you would have a right to appeal them to the appellate courts. If you didn't have money to do that, a lawyer would be appointed to do it for you. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, if we go forward with this plea, you're going to be giving up all of those rights today. There's not going to be a trial of any kind in these cases. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I'm trying to pull up here now the copy of the plea petition that I have. All right, there it is. Can you see that document?
Yes, I could see it.
Okay. Kind of go up to the top here so you can see what the caption looks like. And down here where there's an electronic signature.
Yes,
All right. Do you recognize that document?
yes, yes, Your Honor, I
Okay.
do.
All right. Is this plea petition that Ms. Cadell went over with you?
Yes,
All right. Now, she just sent me, it looks like the actual physical signature, but this is the copy that just shows that you've signed it. You understand that?
yes, I understand.
All right. When Ms. Cadell went over this with you, did you feel like you understood everything in it?
Yes, I understood everything.
Okay. Do you have any questions about anything in this document for me?
No, I do not have any questions at all. I've read
All
it
right.
and I fully understand.
Fantastic. All right. So it says in here that the plea in these cases is as follows: that you're going to plead to count one in the first case, or I'm sorry, in the second case, that's 20 CR 609. That's an aggravated assault, a severity level 7-person felony. And you're going to be pleading guilty to count one, possession of methamphetamine in case number 20CR204. That's a severity level 5 drug felony. In exchange for that, the state's going to dismiss all the other counts against you. That if granted probation, you're going to agree to get a drug evaluation and a mental health evaluation and follow all those recommendations. Also, as part of any probation, you would agree not to have any contact whatsoever with Laura Magali Navarro and not to return to the address 1203 South 36th Street here in Kansas City, Kansas. Is that your understanding of the entire plea agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
All right. Has anybody I guess I should say at the end, I'm assuming when we come back for a sentencing date, well, when we finish this, I imagine your attorney is going to ask me to consider releasing you from jail. And if you're released between now and the sentencing date, if you pick up any new crimes or don't show up for your sentencing date, then the state's going to be able to recommend any kind of sentence that the law would allow, right? They're going to be released from their agreements on sentencing. You understand that?
Yes, I fully understand that too. Yes.
Okay. Then I guess I would ask you, other than that, anybody promised you anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Has anybody placed any force or threats against you to make you plead guilty today?
No, Your Honor.
Right. Before we got started here, your attorney told me they believe that you are criminal history I at this time, which means you have basically no criminal history whatsoever. You understand that since these cases are separately charged, that they're going to count against each other. In other words, the possession of meth is going to score the aggravated assault, and the aggravated assault will score the possession of meth. You understand that?
Yes, I understand that.
Okay. So I know that your lawyer's probably gone over with you the sentencing guidelines and where they believe that you will fall in those guidelines. Until I get a PSI, I don't know exactly what your plea or what your criminal history is. So what I have to do today is just assume that you have the very worst possible criminal history so that I can advise you the maximum that anybody can get for these crimes. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor, I understand.
All right. The maximum for the aggravated assault in case 609 is 34 months, and the maximum for the methamphetamine in 204 is 42 months. Each of those would carry a fine, maximum fine of $100,000 and post-release supervision duration of 12 months. Do you understand those are the maximums?
Yes, Your Honor, I understand that.
Okay. At this time, do you have any questions now about anything that you and I have talked about today?
No, Your Honor, I have no questions at all.
All right. Ms. Cadell, do you know any legal reason why your client should not plead guilty to these two cases or two crimes?
Judge, I would just ask the court to screen share the original signatures and have my client identify her original signature.
All right, let me pull that up here. All right. So this is another shot of this same document, but it would be the copy of it which you signed.
Yeah.
Let me pull that back up. Right there. All right. That's your signature, Ms. Navarro?
Yes, that is my signature.
All right. And I would note that is just another copy of the last page of the plea petition. All right. So at this time, in case number 2020-CR609, charging you with one count of aggravated assault, a severity level 7 person felony, how do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
I plead guilty.
All right. And in case number 2020-CR204, charging you with possession of methamphetamine, a severity level 5 drug felony, how do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
I plead guilty.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask the state to tell me what they believe the evidence in these two cases would be. I want you to listen closely because when she's done, I'm going to ask you if that's what happened. Okay, Ms. Navarro?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Hines.
Yes, Your Honor. I'll start with 20CR204, the possession of meth charge, since that was the first in time by date. If this were to go to prelim or to trial, the state would provide evidence that on Tuesday, February 18th of this year, 2020, Officer Hilton with the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department responded to 1280 Kansas Avenue in Kansas City, Wyandotte County, Kansas, to assist officers that were already on scene to investigate a stolen vehicle that was parked at that residence. Officer Hilton came in contact with the defendant, Vanessa Navarro Valencia, in this case, and determined that she had active warrants out of Kansas City, Kansas. He confirmed she had 6, so he placed her into custody, and on search incident to arrest at the jail, the Wyandotte County Jail, Deputy Fitzpatrick located a plastic baggie that was recovered from the inside of the defendant's mouth, and the deputy believed that it contained a crystal-like substance that she believed to be methamphetamine. There was a presumptive positive test based on the TrueNarc drug identifier utilizing the Raman spectroscopy technology, and it tested positive for methamphetamine weighing 1.0 grams. In 20CR609, the aggravated assault charge, on August 29th of this year, 2020, Kansas City, Kansas police officers responded to 1203 South 36th Street in Kansas City, Wyandotte County, Kansas, in regards to a shooting. When they arrived, they discovered there was no shooting, but there was a large disturbance. They spoke with a Laura Navarro, who's listed as the victim in this case, and she told officers that the defendant, Vanessa, came over and immediately started to threaten people. Laura said she felt threatened because Vanessa had a knife in her hand and threatened her with it. And she said that she was in fear for her life and felt that the defendant, Vanessa, could harm her with that knife. And she had her daughter in her arms during that incident. She also suffered a small cut on her face because of the incident. That again occurred in Wyandotte County at that address on 36th Street, and so did the previous case 204 occurred in Wyandotte County at that residence that was previously mentioned.
All right. Ms. Navarro, you heard what the prosecutor had to say. Is that what happened in these cases?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right, thank you. I will find the defendant has freely, voluntarily, and intelligently entered into her plea. She understands the nature of the charges and the consequences of the plea. There has been a sufficient factual basis provided by the state, which the defendant concurred with, and therefore I will in fact find that she is guilty in these sole counts of each of the complaints that we have spoken of today. All other charges in these cases are dismissed per the plea agreement. I'm going to order a pre-sentence investigation, continue sentencing until we've received it. I've been given a date by my assistant. If you ladies would check January 11th at 10 a.m. I would like to do it by Zoom again, if you are both available.
I'm available.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, January 11th at 10 a.m. for a sentencing hearing. Ms. Navarro, I have to advise you, as a convicted felon, it's prohibited for you to own or possess a firearm, and certain kind of deadly cutting instruments like dirks, daggers, switchblades, basically knives that could be considered deadly weapons, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Cadell, do you have an issue, motion as to bond?
I do, Your Honor. Prior to addressing the bond motion, I'd just like to point out to the court that I believe my client's full legal name is Vanessa Navarro hyphenated Valencia.
Okay.
And given her low criminal history and her plea today, I would ask, sorry, Judge, someone from Andrew County Jail is maniacally calling me.
Well, that's where your client was, so I don't know if they're calling about this or not, but.
Exactly. At any rate, I would ask the court for her release. And I think she's Senate bill eligible. If the probation office does not coordinate a rehab program for her, I'll have to do that. So it's very important that that the court ask my client to stay in touch with me.
Okay. Ms. Hines, your position?
Your Honor, I don't have an objection to her release because the plea agreement is for her to do probation in this case. But I would request that she be monitored by pretrial just to ensure that she is present for the sentencing hearing so we don't have any issues or delays in that.
All right. Yeah, I will have her screened by pretrial services today. So Ms. Navarro Valencia, here's what's going to happen. Here, probably in the next couple of hours, you're going to get a sheet to fill out for the pretrial services so they can run your background and all of that. And then someone will come up and interview you. Do you have a place to stay?
Yes, I do. Actually, it was, I'm going to be living at my brother's house. He lives on Georgia Avenue.
All right. Don't give me the
Casey
address
Sorry.
because we're live and I don't want everybody to know this.
Okay,
but-
well, I do have an address where I'm going to be staying at.
Okay, here's a couple of things that are very, very important. Do you know how to get a hold of Ms. Cadell when you get out?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Okay, that's one of the first things I want you to do when you get out is check in with her and make sure that she has the ability to contact you whenever she needs to. If something were to change court-wise, that's how you would know. If she needs to set up some sort of drug or mental health evaluation,
Yes,
you know, she's going to need to know how to get a hold of you at all times. Okay.
yes, Your Honor.
I want to urge you again, you know, part of your probation, it's going to be part of your bond too, is that you not have any contact with this address or the lady who is listed as the victim in the aggravated assault. You understand that,
Yes, Your
right?
Honor, I understand.
That means a whole bunch of stuff. You know, when I tell people that they have no contact, I think they think that means I can't go over and see them or anything like that. But it means more than that. You can't do that. You can't post to them on social media or about them on social media. You can't text them. You can't call them, all of those things, but you also can't have anybody else do that for you. All
Yes,
right.
Your
In
Honor.
other words, if you're not allowed to do it, you're not allowed to ask your best friend, hey, I can't talk to this lady. Can you call her up for me? You know, even if it was as simple as to say, I'm sorry for what happened, that you can't do that. Okay.
Yes, Your
Um,
Honor.
all right. All right. I will have pretrial services get in touch with you. I believe they'll be getting you out soon. You need to be, are you going to have the availability to get on a computer or a cell phone to do a hearing by Zoom again when you get
Yeah.
out? Okay, all right. Like I said, keep in touch with Miss Cadell because she will get you the information and how to connect to that, okay? And it's
Yes,
gonna
Your Honor.
happen, it's gonna happen January 11th at 10 a.m.
Okay.
Judge,
Yes.
just a housekeeping question.
Mhm.
Today's December 11th. Is that enough time to do a PSI?
That's the date my assistant gave me, so that's the one that we're gonna run with. I think they've been getting them back. Now, if it turns out to be a 1, 2, 3 bill case, then the probation office might need a little more time, but we'll run with the 11th right now. If we run into a hiccup, we can always reschedule.
Thank you, sir.
All right. All right. We are adjourned. Everyone have a good weekend.
You too, Your
Judge.
Honor.